Hi there. Welcome to the Cult of Cinema. Now, nobody likes collecting physical media more than me. But that being said, I know it can get really stressful and at times really expensive, a bit overwhelming. So tonight, let's dive a bit deeper and show you some ways that you can actually get some pretty good stuff and not break the bank. Because at the end of the day, this should be something that you have fun with. So tonight, let's have some fun. So normally we sit here and we talk about the latest boutique label releases that are coming out, the stuff that I'm excited about, whether it's 80 Films or Arrow or Indicator or Vincent or Severin or any of that type of stuff. But it's also come to my attention that for some people, when you watch a video like this or another video on a channel, it can be stressful. It's hard to look at other channels or somebody has something and you feeling like you have to keep up. More than anything else, hopefully, when you're buying something, you're enjoying it. So what I'm spotlighting tonight is different. It's movies I enjoy and things that I'm proud to have in my collection without being a boutique label that has to break the bank. There's a few different ways you can go about it. Let's start out with one of the more fun and interesting ways. See, as neat as it is to have the latest limited edition release or get something that has 1 or 2,000 copies or it's got a number on the spine, sometimes your local conventions or filmmakers around you, uh, local filmmakers may have some great stuff that you're not even aware of. Orphan Killer was the first kind of like Facebook, publicized slasher film. I had a blast watching this one here, and I bought this one at a convention with the mask actually, um, in Montreal. Got to meet the cast and really enjoyed it. It definitely is something that I go back to. And want to know something even cooler? Uh, it had a kind of a heavy metal soundtrack, which is in here, with a lot of kind of local, kind of like bands at the time. So you got to see some different. You got to hear some different bands and some different music, especially if you're into the metal stuff. There's 14 different songs here, and it's pretty cool stuff. In my in Newfoundland, where I live, there is a as a filmmaker that was making short films, and this is New Woman by Benjamin Noah. It's a short, like 20-minute film, and you can see kind of like the aesthetic of it right there. It kind of has that genre and aesthetic, which I really dig, and the fact that it's kind of a gothic style film, and got a write up from Rue Morgue magazine, which is a fantastic horror magazine. Just really intrigued me. I was lucky enough to have this one um, given to me by a really great guy, Sean. If you're watching, shout out to you and a shout out to filmmaker Benjamin Noah. Well, I'd love to get on this channel sometime. Here's the thing, though. Don't discount your local filmmakers. A lot of times you can find some really great stuff, and who knows, you may be holding, in your shelf in a few years, the next great filmmaker's first thing. Like we often find, like nowadays, we'll look at a Vinegar Cinema release or television, and they'll be looking at the early releases of a director that's either gone on to become famous or infamous or just kind of like people haven't quite caught on to them yet. Be hip and cool and catch on to them first that way. Um, it also helps support them to make bigger, better films, and it doesn't break the bank when you do it. I know. It's really cool to have those boutique label releases. They look really nice in the shelf. And I'd be a hypocrite if I was to say, "Oh no, that's not something that I do." I have a lot of stuff here that I'm really super stoked about. But I'm kind of getting back into the Steelbook game again. So you see, you can have some really cool titles that aren't break the bank expensive, especially when these come out. This is Rad. So Rad and it had a 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. Well, this is a great release. I actually have it myself. About it. And this one is from Mill Creek. Uh, it has a bunch of features on the back of it. It comes in yes, a slip. I know you guys love those. And you get this really cool steelbook from Mondo, who did were famous for the steelbooks that they do. It's just a great little release. And as these are, I know steelbooks sometimes go to print, and some people find them too a little bit too pricey at some places. But I can't think of any time I've ever had a Mill Creek or regular steelbook that was as pricey as a boutique label release. So with that being said, let's go right on to The Thing, another fantastic one. You again, you get your slip, and you get this incredible artwork as well. People often wonder, like, what can there be like things inside yet? Like we've seen some um, releases come out. We've had some books and postcards and everything. So steelbooks have evolved when we first got them, and sometimes it's just a steelbook that looks really good and captures the feel of one of your kind of just favorite like casual films. And for me, Lords of Dogtown, as a guy that used to skateboard, and I just really love this film. I just love the look and the style of the steelbook. Now, there's times when here's a company that's kind of a business, unfortunately. You can pick up some pretty inexpensive but some really fun releases. In the UK, there was a company called Network, and you got some amazing like crummy stuff here. Like we got Scott Your Mystery. I love this cover, by the way. The Midnight Menace, Flying Squad. Got Edgar Wallace stuff here, by the way. The Terror. Bernard Lee is on, by the way. Here's a cool one. Victim 5 with Lex Barker. Kind of a cool little title there. Really it was excited when I got this one. But as a massive Lex Barker fan. And one of my favorite of that time horror films, Horrors of the Black Museum with Michael Goff. Just some incredibly cool stuff. This one has like theatrical trailers, original Hypnovision introduction. So and none of these here cost over $5. Sometimes you can just get a good deal, right, Stubby? My kitty cat's right there. Well, one of my kitty cats, one of my 6. And sometimes you can get a package deal. So you're growing up in the 90s, you probably knew these films. Hopefully these stood out a bit. The 90s Kid Star collection, we got My Girl, which made me cry, My Girl 2, Wild America, Radio Flyer, North, and Troop Beverly Hills. I got a soft spot for Troop Beverly Hills. Not sure if it's a good movie, it's just one I got a soft spot for. There's also these Decades collections, and there's been some really good ones when it's come to this. You'll often see Indicator or some of the other companies put out like these releases. You're not quite sure of them. Like they interest you. You know you come to buy them, but maybe you want to test drive first. And I really think it's if you have the option to own a nice collection for an inexpensive price, that's really the way to go. Because There's stuff here that I'm sure has been on one of the more boutique labels that you may not have seen, but you may be curious about. But you're not quite sure if you want to spend the $30 or $40 to get the release. So let's look at a couple right here. This is the Through the Decades collection, and this one is from the 1960s. We got Who Is That Lady with Tony Curtis, Dean Martin, and Janet Leigh. The Notorious Landlady with Kim Novak, Jack Lemmon, and Fred Astaire. Under the Yum Yum Tree with Jack Lemmon, Carol Lindley, and Dean Jones. Good Neighbor with Jack Lemmon, Romy Schneider, and Dorothy Provine. It's almost seems like Jack Lemmon collection there, isn't it? Lilith with Warren Beatty, Gene Seberg, and Peter Fonda. Baby the Rain Must Fall with Stephen Queen, Lee Remick, and Don Murray. Genghis Khan with James Mason, Stephen Boyd, and Omar Sharif. Mickey One, which I'm pretty certain was an indicator release, with Warren Beatty, Herb Hatfield, and Alexander Stewart. The Chase with Marlon Brando, Jane Fonda, and Robert Redford. Love, guess who's in it? Jack Lemmon, Peter Falk, and Elaine May. How to Save a Marriage and Ruin Your Life, Dean Martin, Stella Stevens, and Eli Wallach. And Hook, Line, and Sinker with Peter Lawford, Jerry Lewis, and Anne Francis. Just fun little ones. Often have maybe two on a disc, two or sometimes three on a disc. But they're really fun just to have them to watch inside if you really want to put your hard-earned money into a boutique version of that film, and give you an idea of maybe a type or style of film that you like, because there's so many on these releases that lets you check into films that maybe you're interested in, but you don't know if you're that interested in. This is Through the Decades, the 1970s collection, or one of them anyway. And we got Allen and the Pussycat, Walk in the Spring Rain, Dollars, The Anderson Tapes, Brother John, The Horseman, Gumshoe. I really like that Albert Finney film, actually. The Last Detail, another fantastic movie. Stone Killer, I used to have the book. For Pete's Sake, that's Barbra Streisand, right? Yep. And Fun with Dick and Jane, the original. You can see where the remake came from and why the original was so superior. And it's just fun to get releases like that. We'll kind of stick a pin in that because we're going to come back to that. Now, if you've been getting a lot of these 88 Films releases, or a lot of the other releases coming recently, the Asian ones, then you're going to notice that they came from Fortune Star. Now, this particular release is a Bruce Lee double feature. It is a Shout Factory release, and I paid $3 for it at a Giant Tiger. And if you look at your local dollar stores, and depending on the area that you're in, some of these for a long time often shut up there because they were didn't have the rights anymore, so they were liquidating them. That's the thing. If you go to a local dollar store, sometimes they buy in bulk, and when they do that, you can buy and get things that are in liquidation. That's where a lot of people got a lot of Dragon Dynasty stuff originally from, and titles like that. It says Way of the Dragon, Game of Death. Two incredibly cool films. Way of the Dragon, of course, is the one with Bruce Lee fighting Chuck Norris, and Game of Death would sadly be his last film. What's very cool about this is, although it's on one disc, and I do have other editions of this, including a updated Shout Select version of these films. It's nice to especially if you're not really into the martial arts stuff yet. There's your tester. Often for under $20, sometimes under $10, you can find these here specific Mill Creek releases that I do want to kind of focus on. The one I did bring over, which I should have, was Eyes of Laura Mars, which is an absolutely fantastic film. I bought it for under $10 at my local Sunrise Records, but local when I was living in Canada. But I also grabbed some of these other ones as well. We got Call to Conquer with Kevin Sorbo, and with Tom C. Griffith and Tia Carrere. Has a newer artwork there, but I love the classic kind of art style. And here's a much better film, Silent Rage. It's a lot of fun, and although Chuck Norris doesn't like it, I do. And there is one I think that kind of slipped under the cracks for a lot of people, and it's just a little 1988 film with Cliff DeYoung that called Pulse, and I really enjoyed that. I really had a lot of fun with Pulse, And one more, Sheena. Saw this in theater back in the day. And the beautiful Tanya Roberts is just absolutely wonderful in this. And Ted Ross, who for me is Blossom's dad. And I thought I ended off with a couple of collections because we often see like the big collections, the Seven collections, the Indicator collections, the Arrow collections, and they have some really great, amazing stuff. This is a Rita Hayworth collection. Came in from Mill Creek, and actually the DVD version of this one has more films than the Blu-ray. Kid you not, check it out. But we got Music in My Heart, You Never Get Rich, Tonight and Every Night, Down to Earth, The Lady from Shanghai, which is absolutely fantastic film. The Loves of Carmen, Affair in Trinidad, another amazing title. Solemn, Solemn, Miss Sadie Thompson, Fire Don't Blow, Pal Joey, and They Came to Kudura. Absolutely stunning release. The wonderfully beautiful Rita Hayworth. I love the fact the artwork's not the same on the inside, don't you? And right up alongside that is another fantastic one. It could go really well with, say you picked up some of those, like the Bud Boddicker stuff. Or this is the Rof Scott collection. And there's some decent stuff on here too, some really good stuff. We got the Desperados, the Nevadan, Santa Fe, Man in the Saddle, Hangman's Knot, The Stranger Wore a Gun, A Lawless Street, Angela Lansbury's not like Angela Lansbury, The Tall T. Hey, this is Bud Boddicker stuff. Decision at Sundown, Buchanan Rides Alone, Ride Lonesome, and Comanche Station. And one of the really neat things about this, love this here artwork, and I do have the Indicator edition, is that also came with a guide for the film. Intros for each of these. If you've got the Hammer set that Mill Creek, but you know exactly what this looks like. And what's neat is there's features on here. There's Randy Rides Alone, Randolph Scott at Columbia. There's other commentaries on for the films, and we got some trivia written there as well. So a very cool release. Yeah, I know. Sometimes you can see the, you know, get sucked in by the 4K or the Criterion release, which is great if you can. If you can grab it, you can afford it. That's wonderful. Not all times we can afford it, especially in today's economy. So there you go. Sometimes it's just fun to grab some nice, inexpensive releases and be able to sit down and enjoy them, because at the end of the day, you know, slipcover, poster, booklet, you know, 80-page book, hardbound thing. It's the love of what we're watching inside that really, really sticks with us. I've read a lot of the booklets, and Indicator, by the way, is a great company for that stuff because they put out a lot of good booklets. But what I always remember over everything else is the experience that I had when I was watching that film. How it made me feel. I remember the first time I watched Black Christmas, the 1974 one. It made me truly fall in love with cinema, but it made me want to know more about cinema. And that's why I buy a lot of boutique label releases, is because there's a lot of special features. There's things behind the scenes. There's stuff that I want to know. I want to be able to analyze and go in depth. But I do that because that's kind of a me thing. That's what I like to do. But don't get lost and forget that there's amazing films hopefully inside the packaging. It's on your shelves. And they don't have to be amazing to everybody. They just have to elicit awesomeness to you. So there we go. That's just a few, like, just random things that pulled off my shelf. Well, we'll be back to our regular looking at some amazing releases that are coming out. Eureka made some crib announcements that we're going to talk about. Um, but I thought it'd be nice, just for a change, to sit back, spend the next 20 minutes talking to you guys about some movies that aren't going to break the bank, that aren't going to stress you out, but hopefully you'll enjoy. See you next time here in the Call to Cinema, and until then, sit back, watch a movie, and enjoy it. Don't let the stress or the chase become more than the film, become more important than the film on the screen. See you later.